Yeah.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Spear from the Past. We're here to talk about Ring of Honor All-Star Extravaganza 4, and I've got some great fans of Ring of Honor here. I've got Jacob Barber. Jacob, how's it going?
So when you asked if I was a big fan of Ring of Honor, I never actually answered that question. The answer is I'm a fan of Ring of Honor. I just haven't dove into like their past. So when you asked me to be on, I was like, oh, perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
And then so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about the show. It was the first time watch for me, so I'm excited.
Yeah. And it was also actually a first time watch for me as well. And the person who's the reason I've got Ring of Honor pay-per-views on the reel is JPO. JPO, how are you feeling?
I'm doing great now. I'm a big Ring of Honor fan. I've heard them pretty much from day one. I started watching them. Let's see, I can do the math here. 2004, I believe I started in about a year or two into it. I love it, man. It's the best of the indie world established in February. I'm doing a history, whether you like it or not. Established in February of 2002 under the tutelage of Gabe Sapolsky, who was under the tutelage of Paul Heyman back in the day. This was originally kind of a VHS DVD company. They partnered with RF Video because tape trading was very big back in the day before streaming killed the DVD. And they said, let's put a little money into it, not necessarily from a flashy standpoint, but in a roster standpoint. Let's bring the best indie wrestlers, from all over the country. Because a lot of times the indie wrestling will be, like, for instance, even in RPW in Florida, like, I put 99% Florida guys because that just makes sense price wise. But, they brought in the best from Philly. They brought in the best from, California and New York and Florida and everything here. And it's been great. Some of the very famous names. I mean, you name them, they might have gone through, whether it's Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. You see here in our opening contest, Kenny Omega. A lot of people cut their feet in Ring of Honor. And still going to this day. Not exactly the Ring of Honor I know, but still going to this day. I'm at least happy about that.
Yeah, and that was kind of the first takeaway when I actually started watching it. It's like it definitely wasn't as flashy as like TNA and WWE were in that time, which it's not a bad thing. It's like it's one of those ones like watching it felt like I was sitting in there just watching an indie show without the bells and whistles. But as I usually always start off with these, I always like to do what's happening around the time. This aired on December 26th in 2008. The number one movie at the time this aired was Yes Man. The number one song on the US Billboard 1 chart, it was Live Your Life by T.I. featuring Rihanna. The number one album was Circus featuring Britney Spears. And as I usually do when I'm talking about other companies, I will throw in who the WWE champion that was as well. The WWE champ was Jeff Hardy. The World Heavyweight champ was John Cena. And instantly, both of these people lost their championships to Edge the next champ, which I found really interesting. And the TNA champion was Sting. The pre-match, but we started off with some pre-match news, Kenny Omega and Chris Hero and that. And then we lead into the first match, which was Kenny Omega defeating Rhett Titus. I've seen it as well. Those ones, like, I've seen a handful of like Kenny Omega matches in AEW and that, I thought the match was pretty good. It's one of those ones. I love these. I probably will have the least amount to say about them, but I do like the matches. I think they were really good wrestling and all that. And but yeah, Jacob, what are your thoughts about Kenny Omega versus Rhett Titus?
Yeah, I thought it was a fine opener. Yeah, I'm more familiar with Omega nowadays than back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And unfortunately, like, Rhett Titus is just someone I'm not super familiar with, but I enjoyed the match for what it was. They weren't given much time, so I think they did a good job with the time they did have. And yeah, it was. Just speaking of those pre-match interviews, I'm glad Kenny's gotten a little better on the mic, because it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't terrible, but you could tell he needed some work.
But JPO, what were your thoughts about Kenny Omega versus Rhett Titus?
Yeah, this is an okay opener here. But Ring of Honor is known sometimes for its openers. For instance, the first shows I ever saw, I think my opener was like Jay Briscoe and Amazing Red having like a killer of a match, and then the other next one I watched I think was Brian Danielson versus Christopher Daniels. So like they can have some really bomb openers. This one was alright. Like I said, Kenny Omega's only a few years in at this point. It's not too long after he left WWE Developmental. And I actually thought about quitting too, and it was stuff like Ring of Honor that kind of brought him back into the fold. Red is coming out of the Ring of Honor Academy at this point. Probably in the end, probably the most successful actually of the Ring of Honor Academy students here, because he at least go on to have like multiple tag title reigns with guys like Kenny King. He's in a sexy Red gimmick here. He definitely did an plus from the Tony Khan bot, because as soon as Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, he fed Rhett to Maneuver Suzuki, and he's only been around a couple times since. So he probably wishes it stayed the old regard. But yeah, it was all right opener. But yeah, I think there'll be better to come.
But then the next match we had was Chris Hero versus Eric Stevens, which is being billed as a grudge match. But Jacob, what are your thoughts about Chris Hero versus Eric Stevens?
It's about the same as the as the last match. I thought it was fine. You know, again, they weren't given much time, just under 10. But I think they and so I think also not knowing the story going into it, it's like what am I? I'm just watching a show, so I'm not like getting the backstory. I'm not understanding like, oh, why these people getting involved. I don't know, but as far as like the wrestling, I thought the wrestling was really good. I am a Chris Hero fan, or a Cassius Ohno if you only know him from NXT. I'm glad you kept the knockout thing though. Like he was able to keep that KO. Good on you. But yeah, it was good. I don't think there was nothing to write home about, but it wasn't bad. It was just like that. Hey, we're gonna keep the show going.
But JPO, what are your thoughts about Chris Hero versus Eric Stevens?
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of not too far off from Jacob. I think it's a bit of a notch above the last one here. I would some of the more heavier hitting of this one here, a little bit more akin to maybe something you'd see in Ring of Honor more often. But yeah, something about it. Yeah, again, it just felt like a decent but not next level, as he said, match here. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I mean Chris Hero. I guess WWE just didn't want to call him Chris Hero, so luckily he was able to keep the knockout king, which is KO. So he was able to keep that moniker. I know he had retired actually right after the pandemic. He did come back last year for a few matches, but hasn't wrestled about a year. Eric Stevens also just returned from a 3-year hiatus working for Deadlock and other companies as well.
Yeah, no, this is one was like I was watching the match, like I saw Chris Hero, I was like, hang on, that's Cassius Ohno. It's like who I really know. I completely forgot he was a Ring of Honor guy. Like, but
come on, yeah.
But it's one of those ones like. But I enjoyed this match, and yeah, I'm kind of with Jacob, like not knowing the story a bit, kind of hurt a little bit. Just it's like, what are they having a grudge match for? It's like, did they steal someone's sandwich or something like that? But I thought the match was pretty good. And it was definitely brutal at times. I thought it could have got a little bit more brutal, but I thought it was pretty good for what it was. And then we had a quick backstage segment of Roderick Strong talking to Brent Albright about the match that's coming up. We're going to talk about anyway, and teaming up. But the next match we had was Kensuke Office, which was a tag team, which is Kensuke Sasuke and Katsuhiko Nakajima. Apologies if I butcher the names if they're watching, but they defeated Roderick Strong and Brent Albright. Funny enough, this is not the first time I've talked about a Kensuke Sasuke match on Spear from the past, because I think I talked about him once on a WCW episode because he's been around a long time. But JP, what are your thoughts about this match?
No, I like this one here. Yeah, a bit of again, it's funny. Like even for me going back on this, I was trying to think if this is the first watch for me. I think this was the first watch for me. I owned a bunch of DVDs, but they were hard to keep up with because they would literally used to be like $20 a piece. So you had to kind of pick and choose which DVDs you would buy back in the day. Before it was just $10 to stream every show. Kids, you're fucking spoiled nowadays, damn kids. Yeah, I was too familiar with the Japanese wrestlers here. Yeah, I knew Sasuke looked familiar. Let's just put the look up and see. And yeah. That was W stuff. Even fighting for the U.S. title on pay-per-view. Him and Benoit. Interesting. But yeah. Brent Albright actually just came off of not too long ago being a WWE guy. Anybody? His WWE name? Trivia? He was the brief Gunner Scott. I don't know if everybody remember the name Gunner Scott. He nope, nothing. Speaking of Benoit, I believe one of the tutelage of Benoit on TV wise, and so he wouldn't last long there being OVW. He's retired since he's retired, but he Ring of Honor until about 2010, retired in 2011. Roddy, we all know, still going strong, man. Cool to see Roddy still kicking ass from 2025. You know, I know he's been kind of more of a character recently, but if you go back to his like TNT title run, can still have a really good match, bro. I think a lot of credit goes to Roddy for being this good for this long. And but yeah, no, this match is good so far. I feel every match has to me stepped it up a little bit each time.
Yeah, I thought this. I really enjoyed this tag team match, and it's one of those ones that, like, knowing as much as I know of Roderick Strong, like, it was a little bit jarring for me seeing him tag with someone that's not Adam Rose or Kyle O'Reilly. It's like
He said Adam Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cole.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean.
I don't know. Adam, the team of Roderick Strong and Adam Rose made me laugh.
Adam Rose, baby.
But yeah, but I thought the match was pretty good. But Jacob, what are your thoughts about this tag team match?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I was familiar with Roddy. I think he's the only one in the match I was familiar with, unfortunately. Yeah, the Kensuke office, not super familiar with them, but I thought they worked super well together. And I would love to go back and see more of their tag team matches. I believe I was looking up on Cage Match, and I think Final Battle for 08 or whatever year this was like the next day, and I believe they had a match there. So I'd like to go back and see that too. And
something Ring did a lot was they would call them double shots because to save money, they would run shows kind of close enough to where, hey, we're not traveling much with the crew. You know, people are already spending nights in a hotel anyway. Yeah, they would do a lot of Friday, Saturday double shots. So that makes sense.
Right. So yeah, I'd like to go back and see some more of them because I thought they worked really well together, and it's always nice to see a show of respect after a hard fought match. So yeah, I really like this one. Like JPO said, I think the match quality has gotten better, each match.
Yeah, and then next we had a backstage interview with I can't remember which of the Japanese wrestlers in this next match it was. I want to say it was Takashi, but I'm not 100% certain. But it was a promo in Japanese about how yeah. But the next match was Takeshi Morishima defeating Go Shirazaki. And I thought this match was decent. For me, the match felt a little bit slow, but I think technically it was a really good match. But Jacob, what are your thoughts about this match?
Yeah, it did. It did feel slow. I think that might have been intentional, though. I think maybe that I'm guessing maybe that's just the style these two wrestle. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and watch some more of these matches because not super familiar with a lot of these guys. But I think it worked. I think you can get a lot of just fast paced matches. So I think it's nice to have something just to kind of slow it down, just something different, so you're not watching the same thing for 3 hours. But yeah, no, I liked it. I think this is where it started to be like, all right, we're here and we're just gonna have some really good wrestling for the rest of the night. because yeah, I can't think of a match on this show that I'd be like, that was fine. Like other than the openers, but I think that's intentional. Like I think that was just like the style back in the 2000s was, our openers. They're not going to be like, these classics, but they're going to be good enough that the crowd's going to get into it. Where nowadays it's like that opener. It's like sometimes it's a 20-25 minute. Sometimes one of the best matches on the card. So I think we're here. We're on an upward trajectory, and I think was really good.
But JP, what were your thoughts about this match?
Yeah, it was good. Again, I mean, these two, I think, have worked together a few times in Noah. They're both Noah guys. Yeah, no, I think they do kind of run a more methodical, slower style here. That is definitely something I think very akin to most of Go's matches and even Takeshi's as well. Takeshi's coming off a really good, actually, Ring of Honor title run. Very surprised one, too. He ended up ending, I believe, Homicide's reign with the title. He even got WWE tryouts. They have to lose that to the Vault a year ago, actually. So if you want to see Takeshi taking on, I think it's Jamie Noble and somebody else. Go find that on the WWE Vault. That's available. But yeah, weirdly enough, I don't know if he got hurt or what. He actually retired a decade ago, in 2015. So I don't know if there's more to that or not. But yeah, like I said, good match. I don't know if that's something I want to go back to much, but I thought they worked decent together.
But then next up, we had a triple threat tag team match, which was the Briscoes, Jay and Mark Briscoe, defeating the American Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, and also the team of Nigel McGuinness and Claudio Castagnoli, who most people know as Cesaro. But
whoa. Challenge. Now that he's with AEW, I feel like it's almost even.
Fair. But Jacob, what were your thoughts about this match?
Again, I thought it was really good, and I think I'm going to be saying that a lot for these matches because I think this was just a really good wrestling show. I think Nigel and Claudio can be really good heels. I believe, Jordan, you can fact check me on this. Was there this the American Wolves first match as the American Wolves? I know they tagged before, but I think this. I was doing some research, and I think this might have been the first time like they were actually wrestling under the team name. Which, if that's true, then like cool. I didn't know how long they had been a team because I know they were in TNA as a team also. So yeah, kind of knew who they were. This was the first match where I kind of knew everybody involved, and I liked that. So no, really good stuff. I've seen better matches from all six of these guys. I think there's better, but this was really solid. I think three teams who I think all know how to work and have a really good style. And it's just always nice to see a Jay Briscoe match.
And JP, what are your thoughts about this triple threat tag team match?
Yeah, I think this goes sometimes the theory of like you think sometimes more is better, but sometimes less is more. Because I did feel like almost on paper where I saw like all six of these names, I'm like, that's going to be 14.5 stars out of 10. But it's still a really solid match. But yeah, I did feel like I almost feel like I put up too much expectations on it. But still, really solid here. All six guys are great. Two of them were really well established teams. Briscoes, literally around since day one. I've always said this fun trivia fact. Why couldn't Mark Briscoe compete on the first event? He was too young. They wanted him. He was already that damn good, but they were in Philadelphia and they have strict rules there. So only Jake could wrestle on the very first Ring of Honor event back in February 2002. Yeah, Briscoes are great. Yeah, evidently, Jacob. Yeah, just as far as I can tell, this is the first time they are credited as the American Wolves. And yeah, they go on to not only have a really successful Ring of Honor run, really successful TNA run, a tryout in WWE. So yeah, successful team there. It's been a few months since Davey has wrestled, but he's another one that like low key as it gets in trouble and like quits and comes back, and so who knows? We'll probably see Davey Richards return again for the upbeat time. Yeah, of course, Mark's in the Ring of Mark and Nigel currently involved in everyone else is involved in AEW actually at the moment now, except for Eddie still with TNA. A lot of people thought Davey was going to be the big standout here, but I don't know if it's personality or just injuries or what. But yeah, Eddie ended up having kind of the more longevity in the wrestling business.
Yeah. And one thing I actually forgot to mention is Nigel McGuinness was the Ring of Honor World Champion at the time of this. He was kind of in the middle of a 2-year run as champion. So
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't.
remember them being surprised when they were the first team eliminated.
Yeah. So it was really interesting to me that that they didn't have him defending his title on the show. I don't know if there was any sort of like.
Well, I imagine the final battle will be the next night. I mean, sometimes you do want to spread that out. So, for instance, there is no technical Raw and SmackDown, but like I kind of almost feel like this show kind of was like a Raw and SmackDown in a way, in its own way. I'm like, well, it's still a really good card. There's still definitely some people are going to want to pay tickets, but yeah, sometimes that wouldn't happen always, but that would happen occasionally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just thought I'd mention it because we'll get more into that when we get to the final match anyway. But yeah, when it comes to the triple threat tag team match, I thought this was as far as triple threat tag team matches go, I thought this was the match was pretty good. And yeah, I'm kind of with Jacob. I thought the team with the world champion would have been the last team that gets eliminated. But it's not too much of a problem. It's like it was a really good like wrestling as it was, and yeah, but moving on to the next match, we've got Naomichi Marufuji defeating Austin Aries, and yeah, I mean, once again, actually, JPO, what were your thoughts about this match?
No, I did this one as well. That this is a pretty good match here. Yeah, I was a pretty decent fan of Marufuji. I thought he was somebody that actually might blow up in like the States at some point, but I don't know if it was his choice or in the bad time or whatnot. Another one that kind of never really did. He did a couple of TNA things, but not much. Yeah, I think these two have good chemistry together here. Again, Austin Aries very much in the Davey Richards low key vein. Maybe probably worse than Richards, not as bad as Key. Maybe worse than Key. I don't know. Depends how you look at it. Because he's so damn good, man. I'm such a big Austin Aries Ring of Honor run fan. And yeah, these two matched up pretty well together here. Almost like slight clash of styles on October. I think they gelled really well. I like this match.
Yeah, I thought I thought this match was really good, and it's fun seeing an Austin Aries match that's sort of him sort of outside of WWE. I haven't actually seen one of his TNA matches yet. I'll get to it when we eventually. But I think I really do enjoy Austin Aries wrestling, and I thought this was a pretty solid match all around. But Jacob, what are your thoughts about this match?
Yeah, I agree. This match was really good. I didn't know much about Marufuji, but I definitely want to go check out more of his matches. See, and this was another reason I agreed to be on, because it's introducing me into these wrestlers that I was unfamiliar with, or that I knew of but just haven't seen a lot of. So it's really cool to see. And like, yeah, he's a really good wrestler. And yeah, I looked it up. Final Battle was the next night, and so it was just everybody that was on the show is also on that show. So yeah, Marufuji was actually the challenger for Nigel McGuinness, and Nigel ended up retaining. But yeah, Final Battle is looking like a show that I want to go check out. Kenny Omega and Claudio, a 4-corner match. Yeah, it's a really good card. But yeah, and so is it. And this was, yeah, very, very solid. I want to go back and see more Marufuji. I thought he was really good.
Yeah. But before we got into this the 6-man tag team match, we had I want to say it was Prince Nana, but I'm not too sure. just because I'm not a big AEW person, honestly, but it was Prince Nana coming out and like cutting a promo. I think he's upset that he wasn't involved in this match or something. I couldn't quite get why he was coming out, but it felt like it was tied in with the 6-man tag team match. But then we had the match of the team of the age that was called the Age of the Fool, which was Jimmy Jacobs, Tyler Black, and Delirious, defeating El Generico, Kevin Steen, and Necro Butcher. If those names don't sound familiar, you'll probably know some of them. You'll probably know Tyler Black as Seth Rollins, El Generico as Sami Zayn, and Kevin Steen as Kevin Owens. The first thing that I really noticed is, has Sami Zayn had the same kind of ring gear that his whole group is? I'm pretty sure his tights look very similar to the ones he uses quite a bit in WWE as well. It just seems very similar, like kind of ring gear that he uses. But I could be completely wrong there. But it's just but I thought like this 6-man tag team match kind of started the way a lot of 6-man tag team matches tend to start, and that's with like a big giant brawl from the start. But then once the referees got control of the match, I thought the match itself was really solid, and and it was just fun seeing like these wrestlers, which I've known a lot in WWE, like under different gimmicks and then, but Jacob, what are your thoughts about this 6-man tag team match?
Again, I thought it was really good. I think all 6 people involved are really good. I thought it was, they didn't do anything outside the norm when it comes to a 6-man tag, but I think the action itself was really good. The moves, I think they all had some pretty good chemistry with each other. I've always heard the name Necro Butcher, and I've always associated it, I think, like with hardcore and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's just a normal 6-man tag. The commentators made it clear to say, oh, this is not a street fight, no close fists, which I forgot was a rule in like the 2000s, even though it's a stupid rule. But no, I mean, I thought just a really solid 6-man tag. I don't know if this was like a pay-per-view or not, but I was like, oh, we're gonna get through a whole pay-per-view without outside interference, and then here come the American Wolves to ruin what was a good match. And it made sense though, Steen and Generico were the tag team champs at the time, so you gotta make your mark and put your name out there, and that's what they did. So really, really solid.
And JPO, what are your thoughts about this 6-man tag team match?
No, man, a fun match. I think good good card placement too. I think Gabe's also been one of my favorite kind of like lineups kind of guys here too. I think it's smart. We had a really good singles. This breaks the page before we have another really great singles. Spoiler warning. Great personalities here too, man. Again, I don't know if you noticed a little Easter egg too. I think at the beginning of the show, Kenny Michael was reading about the wrestler. Necro Butcher, of course, has this famous scene in The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. I think, yeah. That's also where you might know Necro Butcher from here, with the glasses on before they kill each other. We're about to stand out, Steen and Gennaro going on the huge things. Also shout out to Delirious would end up taking over the Ring of Honor booking a few years later too, as well as the school too. I think he's technically the trainer over at Titus and others, I believe, already at this point, and ended up being the booker down the line. I've always been a huge Jimmy Jacobs fan. Jimmy Jacobs, you might not know too, really important in wrestling. If you like the Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens friendship arc, that's a Jimmy Jacobs story. He then write for TNA and AEW throughout the years. So, and a really entertaining wrestler too. He had a fun gimmick where he was like an emo guy in love with one of the females, and he would write like these fun emo songs. And and then the debut of Age of the Fall is really cool too. It's very iconic. They hang Jay Briscoe upside down and like bathe in his blood as they debut. It's pretty gnarly. I was a fan of Age of the Fall when they came out. But this is a fun 6-man. They were kind of known for a lot of these big 6-man. Yeah, Necro Butcher normally would be hardcore, but he get by when it was just more of a 6-man brawl as well.
Yeah. But now we move into the final countdown of this pay-per-view, which is the last match, which was Bryan Danielson defeating Jerry Lynn. And honestly, it was so much fun watching like Bryan Danielson from like before he went into WWE. Was like it was definitely a lot of fun watching like him in Ring of Honor, and I thought the match itself was pretty good. And then like after the match, they both Bryan and Jerry Lynn both cut a promo on each other saying how much they respect each other, which Nigel McGuinness was really hating on that in commentary as well, but which was thought it was really funny. But Jacob, what were your thoughts about Bryan Danielson defeating Jerry Lynn?
I thought this was so good. I always wonder, like, because when you're doing that chain wrestling to open the match, like how do you call that? Is that something where they're just like, hey, let's just wrestle for the first 5 minutes and see what happens, or are they like, all right, I'm gonna do this, this? Like, I don't know how you call that and make it look as good as they do. But yeah, it was nice going back and seeing pre WWE Bryan Danielson. You can definitely tell. I don't know if they told him like, hey, slow it down a little bit in WWE because he wasn't quite as he was in Ring of Honor, and then now and later on AEW to an extent. But yeah, man, another guy who's done it for like 20 plus years. And sure, a few couple retirements in between, but man, he's so good. And Jerry Lynn, I don't know how old he was at the time, but for him to be able to keep up with Bryan Danielson, I thought the finish was smart. I thought it was really good. Because Danielson, it was just like he said, I was just a quarter of a second better or whatever he said. But yeah, man, if these two have other matches, I want to go and I want to seek them out because I thought they worked really well together.
And JPO, what were your thoughts about Bryan Danielson versus Jerry Lynn?
Listen up, they did a month later in January have a rematch as well. And in fact, technically, in 2001, they have a WWF dark match. I don't know if that's what the fault or not. But yeah, that's kind of fun. This is technically a rematch from WWF Jack or whatever. So that was pretty interesting too. That Danielson was also a developmental guy at one point. Lynn had a very brief WWF run. Kind of got screwed over by the Invasion. Just one of those guys like R-Truth, Steve Blackman, and so many others. That's just sorry. We just bought all the WCW guys. Yeah, no, this is great. This is a good opinion of kind of like what Ring of Honor is. Because, like, for instance, just kind of like those early shows before they had a world champion. Because they didn't have a world champion. They started in February. They didn't have a world champion until like June. So it really was just about the wrestling, and it would kind of continue that way. Again, this is just let's have two of the best that have never one-on-one except for that probably 6 minute WWF match. Maybe even a 4 minutes, however long it was. Let's have these great guys wrestle one-on-one. It's fantastic. I really like this, man. They're two of the greats. Lynn would end up retiring back in 2013. I actually got to do a seminar with him a couple years back. Great guy, great mind for the business here. Danielson also recently kind of semi-retired, if not fully. Yeah, these two are great. Danielson, not even a year later, by fall of next year, he's gone, starting his FCW and WWE journey himself. So, he's kind of on the cusp. You can kind of see this kind of looks like early NXT Bryan in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at the point where I'm starting to believe that anyone who says they retired is not always telling the truth. Some people jump straight back into it. Look at you, Ric Flair.
Well, I think Flair. I think Flair kind of got forced into it. I think most people believed at the time, and then just after a while, and you're sitting home and like, I could still do more. Like I think
the only one I can think of is Shawn Michaels. It took like 7 or 8 years for him to come back on, and even then, that was the only time.
And it was because they backed up that Bring Sonny money, baby. And it was like, okay, what do I do? Not pay for my entire next 5 vacations at my kids' college fund,
right?
And to do a shitty tag match.
If it was a Survivor Series, you'd probably be like, nah, I'm good.
I mean, what?
No, yeah, oh, absolutely. They teased him and AJ, him and Grayson Waller, and he's like, "No, I'm good. Just doing my thing."
I mean,
Body.
watch them do the same for John Cena for the WrestleMania. It's going to be in Saudi.
I will say, I think Cena, not to say Sean doesn't have integrity, I will put money, and again, I could be super wrong. I will put money that Cena will hold on to his word. He seems like that kind of guy that like will truly be like, I don't care what you offer me. I made a promise. I'm sticking to it. He's been very emphatic on talk shows. So I would be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, John Cena's one that I can believe would actually retire. It's one of those ones like, it's not like he's going to be starved for cash. He's got movie money coming in as well. So
yeah. Plus that too. Plus that doesn't hurt that he's as long as he's smart with his money, he should be set. He's also too. He's still definitely got WWE merch money probably the rest of his life too.
But anyway, this is John Cena wasn't in Ring of Honor, so
but not even one match. Not even one.
But I think I've gone deep on about this match. But Jacob, overall, what were your thoughts about this pay-per-view? Whether or not it's a pay-per-view, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
No, at this point, it's probably just directed DVD. I'm not sure they're streaming anything this one. I don't think they're streaming this one at all. Yeah. Well, streaming starts to trickle in. No, I think streaming doesn't start to trickle into like 2010, 2011. So yeah, this one it's DVD, baby.
No, I get that. It's for all intents and purposes, we're just calling it a pay per view because it's easier to. Every show. But yeah, Jacob, overall, what were your thoughts about it?
I thought it was really solid start to finish. There's not a bad match on the card. I think if I could recommend one match to go back to, it's definitely Danielson and Jerry Lynn. I thought technically it was really good. A really solid show. And if you're not a Ring of Honor fan, I'm a Ring of Honor fan, I'm just not familiar with their past. I think this is a really good show to check out.
But JP, what are your thoughts about this?
No, I mean I love Ring of Honor's past. Like I said, those first few years, I'm still pretty hardcore heavy. Like at this point, I'm still pretty hardcore heavy into it. I'm probably starting to dip around 11, 12 to a degree here and there. But this is a good example. I think that last half is all pretty good. Pretty to really good. Like again, Danielson Lynn. I mean, I just knew on paper that match didn't deliver. It does. The 6-man's fun. Mayor Fuji Aries is pretty good. Even the first tag match I think is actually really good too. The Rowdy match, so three-way is fun. Yeah, this is a good, not the best example. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Battle Metal's even better. I could, because that is kind of like on paper like one of their bigger shows in general. Like they don't necessarily treat one show like Mania over the other, but like Final Battle's there, like with Death Before Dishonor and whatnot, is usually like a big one of the year. So, but this is still pretty good, man. Yeah, again, if you're not familiar with guys like a Jerry Lynn, if you want to see how Seth Rollins and El Generico. Well, El Generico never made anywhere because he unfortunately died saving a bunch of orphans in Tijuana. But he would have been big if he had not died, unfortunately, in that orphan fire.
Yeah, one thing I will say quickly to go back to Sami Zayn. I really like the fact they keep the Ole Olays from this, and is like, well, I know that's probably mostly the crowd doing it, but it's like. But I like
that is an organic. That's an organic crowd thing that like they just had to finally embrace. Yeah, absolutely. Because it makes sense. It makes zero sense for who they were saying, but it's just being like, we know who you were. You were.
But yeah, overall, I thought this was a bit like, as someone who's like never sort of seen Ring of Honor before, this was definitely a good one to jump in. That was like, because if it was one of those, if it was a one that was I really kid, was like, I'll probably be like, this is what JPO wanted me to watch. How dare he?
Yeah, I gotta say though, that first 7 years of Ring of Honor, I don't know if there's a single event that you would at least a few matches would have been like, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I love Ring of Honor standby. Like that's like even this, I bet you was like probably not even in the top 10 of that year. And
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's still good.
yeah. But yeah, so it was definitely a good sort of jumping off point. So yeah, it was pretty solid. But that is the end of Speaking Parts for this week. I'm going to spin the reel for the next episode.
Wait, now that the fight is over, we'll have to shake hands. All right, so yeah.
So, here's the big ass reel.
Big ass wheel, baby.
Can be another Ring of Honor.
Oh,
no,
right.
staying in 2008.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get out this year.
But so yeah, that will be in the next episode. In fact, it's actually perfect time, because didn't they just have? Wasn't it just Final Resolution?
Yeah.
So
like 2 days ago.
I just looked it up. There's a final resolution in January.
Yeah,
there's a final resolution in December.
Well, no, it just depends on the year.
I've absolutely realized that. It's like shit.
Oh, there's 2 in 08?
2 in 08.
There was 2 in 08. One was in January.
That must be the first year they were like, let's make it December, because it used to be January, and then it transitioned to December. Oh. Watch whatever wins fucking better.
The one in December has the Feast or Fired match.
So don't watch that one then. That match is dumb.
I'm looking at both. I'm going to make the decision myself. But you know what? I'm all for looking at finding out about dumb stipulations. Because recently I did In Your House seasons beating, which had the hog pen match. So I'm going to pick the December TNA one.
Hey, me saying no, don't do it, just encourage you to do it. All right, no shit.
But
I don't. I'll be fair, just to kind of clarify. I definitely stick with it, but I know the outcomes were just weird. It's basically like they would have grab briefcases, and then it would you get a title shot, or you get fired, or yada yada. It was a weird way to do things.
Yeah.
Story wise, it might be worse than the match itself. Story wise,
but yeah, I'm probably going to but I will say this is probably going to be the first one I'm going to do next year, so there's a good chance I'm probably going to get JPO on, or JP wants to do a TNA pay per view. But I'll probably do this next year, because just because for the rest of December I'm probably going to be taking a break from doing streams and stuff. But Jacob,
back to doing trivia.
But Jacob, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me. I pop up over on the Lonely Marks. At least for the rest of the year, I do.
So at least his own show that he started.
A few more weeks. I'll be on the awards episode also. But yeah, you can catch me there. I compete in some trivia. I do combat wrestling. I do the sports. Well, I do both. I do wrestling and sports. I'm just not good at movies, JPO. You know this.
We're playing 4 minutes. We got a spot.
If you have somebody on that you think is worse than me, then maybe I'll play. But I don't want to be the resident.
I'll let Chris Perkins play. Yes.
What movie had a cameo appearance by Necro Butcher?
Yeah.
But yeah, Lonely Marks on Thursdays at 10. And then combat wrestling trivia, lights out trivia, whenever that starts up again. So yeah, thanks for having me.
But JPO, we can be find you online.
Oh, hey, everybody. The aforementioned Lonely Marks, if you like pro wrestling, Thursdays at 10 o'clock. Me, Pez Richie, and no one else talk pro wrestling every week on Thursday. And then, if you like wrestling, check out Pierce Wrestling. Lots of trivia, exclusive matches, exclusive interviews. What's that? TJ Perkins and me sitting down talking for an hour? Maybe. It's over at that channel. And hey, do you like wrestling for the third time? Real Pro Wrestling is the company I help run in Fort Myers, Florida. Go check out that YouTube. We have matches featuring Danhausen, Gangrel, fucking other people. I'm blanking. Jesse Neal. You like Jesse Neal, right? Of course you do.
Don't you have AJ Francis?
AJ Francis. We have Madman Fulton. We have Diamante before she was famous. We have Danhausen before he was Danhausen when he was Donovan. Go check that out. Then if you like movies, The Pierce Go, including 2 minutes from now.
And you can find me on Tape for Productions hosting Rankum every Sunday night. This week it's going to be top 12 Christmas episodes from TV shows, which should be a really interesting topic. And you can find me popping up hosting Spear from Pass on my own personal channel, Melzer Media. We'll go beyond hiatus for the rest of December, but we'll be kicking off in January. We're recording about TNA Final Resolution from 2008, specifically the December one. And you can find me in just a few minutes over on the Movie Hero Network, where we're talking about, we're doing the latter series, we're talking about movies of 1987.
Princess Bride.
So it should be really interesting. And yeah, but that is it from us. And until next time, we'll see you all next time.